Yeah, so this was a pretty uneventful one. I wasn't sure if I was actually going to do a recording. So I thought I'd record just to kind of, talk about the cover story. Because, I love the Yamato cover story. It's probably the only good part of this chapter, really. So we see, Yamato and Co. like heading back to the Flower Capital. They did their pilgrimage. So, and the little fox guy, spirit guy is following them too. Nice. No real revelations from that, and I think that's about it. I just kind of wanted to comment on the cover story, and oh my god, this I don't know if, like, people agree at the significance of this chapter, but to me, this was just about at the level, like almost at the level of the feeling I got when I read the mural Harley text chapter, um, where it was like this revelatory thing that shifted our understanding of the story forever. Like I felt like this was that again in the same arc. Um, this was one of the best chapters ever, probably, and I feel like it's only going to blow up and escalate from here. This was insane. Um, so we've been getting a little bit of this like leading up to this. I wasn't even sure up until this point if we were going to see the God Valley incident on screen or if it was something that they were going to cut away for and talk about and show character reactions to. Um, but it seems like we are going to definitively see it now. This is the time. And this goes back to sort of like what I've been talking about over the past few weeks, where Oda is like sort of repacing his story, and realizing like in order to get things done, things need to happen quicker. And I think he decided like the Herald flashback was the place for this, where I could fit this in seamlessly, and it's working incredibly well. While the Herald flashback sort of expanded into the whole Roger Rock's era flashback, and I think like it ballooned that way. We weren't expecting it, but I think it's working incredibly well. But it really reframed the chapter, reframed my understanding of the narrative, and that's particularly the background narrative before the start of the main series, and that there is one sort of central nexus point to it all, and that nexus point is the God Valley incident. So like everything is circling around this, every thread of the story. It's the start of, we see like, especially in this chapter, it's the start of like the Revolutionary Army characters. It had like all of the world government, and it ties back to all of the Joy Boy and the ancient race stuff. It talks about the prominent crews at the time, the Roger Pirates, the Rocks Pirates, all of the crews that would splinter off of the Rocks Pirates due to Rocks' downfall here. Um, it like this is the foundation of the Revolutionary Army. This is the foundation of the Great Pirate Era. This is the foundation of Roger's fame. This is the foundation of Rox's fall. This is the foundation of all the Yonko crews. Every like thing that built out the world order and the narrative in the modern series is sort of spiraling around this God Valley incident, and it's insane writing to have all these threads throughout the whole series weave interconnectedly into this one core incident. Like that's insane. That's so unfathomably hard to do as a writer. And the fact that it's like without it feeling contrived, and the fact that not only is he pulling it off and pulling off insanely well, but it doesn't feel contrived at all. Oh, I didn't even mention Blackbeard. Blackbeard's a huge part of that list. Yeah, it doesn't feel contrived at all is just insane. Like the level of skill that Oda has as a writer is just unfathomable. But anyway, so let's get into it. I took pretty extensive notes this time because I wasn't just going to dilly dally through this chapter. This was like an absolutely insane one. So as like most people predicted, like Shaki got kidnapped from Hachinosu and was taken by the Celestial Dragons world government. We find out pretty explicitly that the informants, the leak in Rox's crew, is who we think is probably Caribou's dad. That guy that looks very similar to Caribou. We see him when Shaki's kidnapped, and like people are like, how did this happen under our watch? And you see him counting money and smirking. Like I don't think it's, and you can get any more explicit than that than he's the world government plant in Rox's crew. That's pretty much revealed, solidified. What if it's not? What if it's not? But anyway, so. But they don't know who took her at the time, I guess, or did they say it was world government at the time? I can't remember, but they don't know, and so they can't really act yet. They don't know where she is, what's going on. We'll get to how they find out, and I think that was just phenomenal how that was done. But we cut back to Garling. So everyone was theorizing. Everyone was talking about this week, like who is Shanks and Shamrock's mother? Like, who is this woman? We find out she's a Davy clan, and that's actually something. It was either Morge or Murphy that pointed this out, but I will get to that. We find out she's like implied to be a Davy clan member because she's a prominent figure in God Valley, which we'll get to. And fucking Shamrock. I mean, not sure. I keep calling him Shamrock because he looks identical to Shamrock. But he point blank just brutally kills her, and it just shows you another like prime example. We saw so much of this throughout LF so far, but a prime example of like the Holy Knights like level, like Celestial Dragons overall, but the Holy Knights specifically level of like just pure brutal mercilessness and not seeing themselves as even the same species as humans. They see themselves. It's like how we see ants. Or it's more like how we see toys as a child. Like that's how they see other humans, and it's sickening. It's sickening. But we see, they're setting up the sort of occupation of God Valley to facilitate the hunt. And we see that one of the Marines there, and this is something we've been waiting for an incredibly long time to see where it all began for Dragon, is a young child dragon. Well, not really child, like probably like early adult, late teen, and probably Kobe's age, I would guess. And he starts questioning orders, and everyone's telling him not to question orders, just do what's going on. And he's struggling with it really profoundly, and we can see that like this is the start of it. But he's still justifying. He's like, okay, I'll use non-lethal ammunition. I'll knock them out and take them in, so we don't have to like kill them. They didn't do anything, but there's got to be some sort of reason why we're here. No one's answering it, but but he's starting to really question it, and I think this incident is going to fundamentally shake him to his core. We know that. I think this is 100% going to be the incident. Whatever happens to him in God Valley, whenever he does, whatever he sees, is going to drive him to splinter from Garp and the Marines and the government and go his own way. And we know later that we've seen later through Vegapunk that the O'Hara incident was like the final nail into his coffin, where he was like, okay, this is time. Like, I'm starting the revolution right now. Like this can't happen again. And it's even more profound with that context now, because we know that he lived through God Valley on the side of the Marines, and then he saw it sort of happen again. He saw this genocidal behavior like on the whims of like fascists, again in O'Hara, and that's what drove him. And it's you're gonna see like the fact that he had to, like, we're gonna see this, the fact that he had to live through it himself on the enemy side, defected, broke off, and then he had to saw it again and wasn't there to stop it. That's got to be the point that he's like, okay, this is it. I'm forming the Revolutionary Army. So we see now the core of the God Valley incident, how it started. Like, first of all, we see, young Eva and Kuma and Ginny on the slave ship being transported to God Valley for the hunt. And I literally teared up. Like Kuma and Ginny, and Eva too, but like mainly Kuma and Ginny mean so much to me. And I think they're like, I don't know. It's just, Oda gets me, man. Oda gets me. He just makes me cry every fucking chapter now. I'm a baby. I'm a big baby. Yeah. I'm literally tearing up thinking about it. Like, just seeing them smiling and like getting excited again, and like Kuma like looking at Jenny and realizing like, hey, like, there's even some people that have hope in this situation. And the fact that he looked to Jenny and saw that and it gave him hope. Oh my God, that hit me. And especially knowing what happens, God. Anyway, so we find out that Ginny leaked a message out to some sort of informant explaining what's happening at God Valley, because the government was, of course, censoring it for the world because people would be in uproar if they found out what kind of behavior was happening. So, like it got leaked out, and who is the informant? Young Big News Morgans. We saw Kid Big News Morgan. I don't know if he was a kid or young adult, but like just fucking the fact that Ginny and Big News Morgans were responsible for the fucking God Valley incident is my favorite revelation ever. Like Big News Morgans is like one of my meme favorite. I'd say my two meme favorite characters are Who's Who and Big News Morgans. They're so fucking funny to me. I adore them. Anyway, the fact that Big News Morgans and Ginny, my two Blorbos, were responsible for causing the entire God Valley incident because Ginny leaked the message to Morgans and Morgans published it. Incredible. So that's the trigger point where the Roger Pirates, the Rocks Pirates, they all find out what's going on and they realize that's where Shocky is. We have to go now. And it was cool seeing a little interaction between Kaido and Big Mom, where they were like, "Oh, you can, grab some of those fruits because those fruits are on its way." I'm very interested to see what's fruits. I think as I'm recording this, Morge is doing a stream of like predicting what the fruits are that are going to be at God Valley, and I'm gonna check that out. I'll check out the VOD for that because I'm interested to see what the fruits are, good, like what his predictions are, and see how well that lines up. Anyway, so Roger Pirates are on their way to God Valley. Rocks Pirates are on their way to God Valley. Rocks is stopped by Harold. Trying to make this the final moment. And he explains that actually he's being surveilled by a government ship right there to make sure he does the deed of taking out Rocks. And so the two talk. And Rocks reveals he's not just a fan of Davy Jones. His real name that has been censored by the government and replaced with Rocks. This is like a layer upon layer upon layer of reveal. Like if it's like you could just hear the meme like it's like every line. But his real name is Davy D. Zebek. He traces his lineage to someone named Davy D. Jones. And it seems like, just based on the naming structure, it seems like the D, like people were saying like, oh, D is Davy. I don't think so because the Davy, like, why would his name be Davy Jones? Like, I think the D is something else, and I will get to my thoughts on that. But, so the Davy comes from the survivors of the Davy clan. And he had a wife and child back in his hometown, within the Davy clan, what we know eventually is Blackbeard, Marshall D. Teach. And where is that hometown? God fucking Valley. Everything's connected. It all comes back to God Valley. Crazy. So you could see the deep layer within Rocks here, where it's like, he knows it's over. And it's crushing. You see it in his expression and the way he's talking. He knows he's not doing, he knows he's not going to achieve his dream, but protecting his wife and child and his people is just more important to him. And that's a fucking hero right there. And don't let anyone tell you fucking otherwise. We all fell in real life for the world government propaganda. Like, that's how genius Oda is as a writer. We all fell for the world government propaganda that Rocks is some villainous figure. We saw that silhouette of him with the evil smile. We associated with him Blackbeard. He has done nothing evil. Like think about it. Am I thinking it through? He has done nothing evil. And the fact that he's giving up on his dream right now, he knows. He knows his time is up. He knows this is probably the end. And yet he's doing it anyway to protect his wife, his child, and his people. Rocks is a fucking hero. And, Harold, Harold says, no, I'm not helping you. Goodbye. And notice Harold does not attack the ship. It only shows Rocks' ship attacking Harold. So I think what happened here is they made an arrangement off screen here, where it was like, look, the government ship's surveilling me right now. Attack me. I'll make it look like I fought you, and I'll say to the government ship, you failed, just get out of here and go do what you need to do. As like a last thing before friends, between friends. What I think is going to happen here, because we know from Sommers later in like the modern point of LF where Sommers said like Harold fucked something all up and made it so like Harold would have been a good guy if like he didn't fuck it all up. Good ally if he didn't fuck it all up. I think he's fucking it all up at God Valley. I think Harold's showing up. He breaks and he shows up to help his friend, and that screws up everything for him and Elbaf. I think he's like, fuck it, fuck the government. I gotta go in and help Rox. Rox is doing exactly what I've been trying to do for my people. He's doing it for his people. I gotta help him. I don't care about, like, I gotta do it. And I don't know if this is actually gonna happen. This is like my least confident prediction of this video, but I think that's like what I'm leaning toward, and then he's gonna go in and that's gonna be the thing that severed him from the world government completely and made it so like Emu was like, fuck it, fine, I gotta go in and do Domi reversing him. That's the only way at this point to get into Elbaf. Well, actually, we don't know why they wanted to get into Elbaf so bad, because right now they're so resistant to Elbaf joining in, so maybe there's some more connective pieces that we'll see here. So back to the reveals of like of Davy Dizebek's lineage. I have some theories here. I think that Davy Jones. I've talked about my theory that I think Davy Jones could. I don't know if I've actually talked about these theories with friends or in video, so I'll say them now as if they're new. My leading theory is that Davy Jones was a member of Joy Boy's crew, Davy D. Jones. I think that my leading theory right now is the D is stems from the ancestry of Joy Boy's crew members or like affiliates, and they all took the name Dion and like the insignia D, and that's what spread down over time. So I think Davy Jones was probably a member of Joy Boy's crew. We saw this with Lily. Specifically, where Nefertari Lily adopted the D after aligning with breaking from the forming world government and aligning with Joy Boy and spreading the poneglyphs. We know that she adopted the D. So that's my leading theory. Another theory that I have that might have legs is that we know that the government was trying to censor the Davy Jones name. They censored Rox's name. They censored the Davy Davy clan people from like public knowledge. It seems like the government didn't necessarily even know they were, because it seems like Garland, whatever his name, yeah, he seemed to didn't know that the D clan was there, and he reported it back to the government as this is why we need to have the next hunt there. But yeah, but that leads me to say, what I'm trying to say here is that I think that Davy Jones might be Joy Boy's real name. I'm leaning more toward Davy Jones was a member of Joy Boy's crew, but Davy Jones being Joy Boy's real name could also be another point. And wouldn't it be so interesting if like Roger and stuff, Goldie Roger, like we don't know if he was necessarily lineaged from, if my crew theory is real, we don't know if he's necessarily even lineaged from Joy Boy, you know? His ancestry could be from another member of the crew. We don't know. But yeah, since the government is trying to censor the name anyway, it makes a lot of sense. Anyway, I don't know if either or both or one of which or any of those theories are going to be correct. Those are just my ideas. But God, that whole reveal sequence of like boom, boom, boom was crazy. Anyway, so we get back to God Valley. The incident is gearing up, starting. The tension's very high. We see Shocky revealed, and God, the look on her face absolutely fucking crushed me. You just see the defeat and deadness in her eyes, and we know from like all our modern characters that were under world government slavery, like how horrific and awful the experience is, and how soul crushing and breaking it is. And to see Shocky's face like that, a character we've come to know and love in the modern story, thank God we know she fucking ends up happy with Rayleigh. Because if we didn't know that at this time, Like, I'd be so scared. Like, oh my god. The fact that we know she ends up happy and safe with the person she loves after all this torment and abuse, like, god, it just warms my heart because she looks so fucking defeated here. And anyway, so everything's gearing up. We see like all of the holy knights getting ready to, participate. And Gunko is there, and she's with someone that looks familiar, but I couldn't exactly place who that person was. It was like, he was like, what did he say? He's like, you see this, Gunko? Like, we got this, or in the bag, or something. I don't remember what he said. Something along those lines. But this person looked very familiar. So if you know who this is, or recognize who this is, or you have theories of who this is, please let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on who that could be. Because like I feel like I'm just missing something there, where I'm like, I recognize this person, but I can't, in my like thinking back to the series, I can't quite place who it is. So if you have any thoughts, ideas, instant realization, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear. But anyway, I kind of misinterpreted this whole final little sequence with Dragon. I thought he was walking in on Blackbeard or Teach and his mom. But the paneling is misleading, I think. It seems like he's based on a dialogue. It seems like he walked in on like it seems like, but I thought she died instantly. But I guess not. It seems like he walked in on Shanks and Shamrock's mom and was like, and she was like, please, you have to protect my children. It could have been a random, I don't even think it necessarily even needed to be Shanks and Shamrock, but would it be really cool if like, if Dragon was the one that put Shanks in the chest and like, Dragon single-handedly like facilitated the, safety and development of Luffy's other father figure. I think that would be interesting thematically. Or if like, he also protected, let's say he protected Shamrock, and then Shamrock went back with the world government, became an absolute huge, the pure antithesis to his mission. That would also be incredible thematically if he protects those two kids and puts them on those two paths. That would be incredible writing. But I also think it could be a random. At first, my first read through, I thought that was just a zoomed out version of Blackbeard and his mom, but I don't think it is, because it looks like they're like in a bright place with cuffs instead of a dark corner and covered in blood. I don't know. I could be wrong. It could be what I thought originally, but I think those are two separate things, and the paneling there is a little misleading. But looking through my notes here, I think that's everything. This was absolutely insane, and just further example of reminding, like, this chapter really cemented and reminded me why Oda is the greatest, one of the greatest writers, if not the greatest writer of all time. And like, I can't say anything because we don't know the ending yet, but like, One Piece, God, it's one of the best stories ever told, and I'm so grateful that I get to experience this week by week and see this story as it's coming to fruition. And I'm not born later, where I'm seeing it all out and everyone knows the answers to everything. Like, imagine like starting the series and you already know what the One Piece is. Like, I can't imagine that. It's like similar to the people like that are waiting to play Deltarune until all the chapters out, and I'm like the time between the release of the chapters, like, to discuss and theorize and figure out things is part of the story. like that's part of the piece of media. And I don't think people understand that with Deltarune. And I feel like that's similar to this with like One Piece, where it's like this experience of not knowing and experiencing the story as it comes is part of the One Piece experience. I don't know. Anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. This was like one of my favorite chapters of all time. There was so much here that I absolutely adored. I laughed, I cried, like, this was a whirlwind. Even just recording this and going through it again, I feel like all my emotions are all over the place. But yeah, one of the best chapters ever. So I cannot believe like what we're about to get here. If it cuts away, it cuts away. But they would be the biggest cuck from it of all time. But I think we're really getting the God Valley incident in full force here. Unless we never get the God Valley incident. Maybe we don't. Maybe we don't see it. Maybe we only hear people talking about it. But anyway, I think we're gonna get it because I think if Harold intervenes, that's our Harold connection. That's our Loki connection here. But anyway, that's about it. That's my thoughts. So thank you so much for listening, watching. I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments below. And I cannot wait for the next chapter. I think it's supposed to be this week. It didn't say break next week, but you never know with Oda nowadays. If you need to take a break after this one, that's more than fine with me. But anyway, thank you for listening.